enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Augusta, Branchville, and Sussex post offices, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald, the Sunday Herald, and the clerk of the boroughs of Branchville and Sussex, and the townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Wantage. Our mission statement. High Point Regional High School, in partnership with staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. I ask for a roll call, please.
Mr. Comfort.
Here.
Mr. Carrazza is not here. Mr. Dunn.
Here.
Ms. Ireland.
Here.
Mr. Klein.
Here.
Mr. Osband. Here. Ms. Schuman.
Here.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Dona is not here. Dr. Ripley.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Excellent. Motion will now be made that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education enter executive session to provide an update on legal, personnel, and negotiations items, which are exempt from public participation pursuant to New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Any discussions held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public when appropriate. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session in person and virtually at the conclusion of the executive session. It is not anticipated that any action will be taken. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now in executive session. May I have a motion to return to public session?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now returned to public session. We have no other business, so we'll proceed to approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes from October 27, 2022, and the executive session minutes from October 27, 2022. May I have a motion to accept those?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Correction? Opposed? I guess we'll go to roll call.
Mr. Dona.
Yes.
Mr. Comfort.
Yes.
Ms. Ireland.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Osband.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes. Now we have our first public comments for agenda items only. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, we will open the public comments for agenda items only at this time. Each speaker should state his or her name and address. You will have 3 minutes to address the board, which will be timed by myself. We will limit this session to no longer than 45 minutes. Please be respectful and mindful that your comments are being recorded. And as in the past, we have 2 means for you to make public comments, both here in person at the podium or virtually via our online portal, where your comments can be submitted to the email address that is displayed there. Any public comments from the room? Anything to our email address, Mr. Jordan? Okay. I guess I'll take a motion to close the public comments.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So we do have a second public comments section later on in the agenda that's not limited to agenda items. If anyone would like to make comments either in person or via our online portal, please feel free to do so. Proceeding now to our presentations. I do know we do not have our student council representative here this evening, but I believe that's going to be part of the county report. Okay. So with that, I'm going to turn over to the HPA, Ms. Carla Mancuso, HPA President, to update the board on HPA items. Test.
Test. Okay. Good evening.
here tonight and volunteering. Your service is very important to all of us. It's been a very sad day for High Point community. I won't speak upon that. I'm sure Mr. Townsend will, which is fine. I will not tread on that, but it's been very difficult. I just wanted to say that as being an executive committee on the Sussex County Educators Association, we nominated Vicki Storr as ESP of the year for High Point. And we normally don't do that, but because of COVID, we did that sooner than later. And she was honored at a Pomona Farms dinner last week, and there was over 200 people there, ESPs, and it was a great, great evening to honor our ESPs, because Vicki Storr is our attendance person, but she's more than that. You call her, she knows what's going on, who's supposed to be where, and she deserves this award, and she was honored that night. I'd also like to honor Austin Caldwell, who's one of my past students. I'm an old lady, I've been here 23 years, and now I have a student that got an award as Coach of the Year for the Super Football American White Division. I don't know what that is, the White Division, but he's great. It was good in the classroom, and it was good to see that. December 16th, we'll be meeting with Mr. Talamay, the executive committee. We're finally getting to meet. I'm the president of the HPA, and we have our new VP, who is Liz Sunda, who replaced, okay, I forgot. Rebecca Sarno, who's our new VP, vice principal of the high school. So we'll be doing that. And our health and safety committee met today with Ben Kapler, and he'll be bringing his comments forward. Other than that, I wish everybody a healthy, happy Thanksgiving. And did you know that George Washington was the first to commemorate our holiday, Thanksgiving? I didn't know that. So I presented that today to our students. He did a proclamation in October 3rd, 1789 for Thanksgiving to unite the United States of America, which only had 13 states. So I was amazed to say, where did Thanksgiving come from? It wasn't the Pilgrims, it was George Washington to unite our states. And as a union, and as being a part of the union, and part of teachers, and part of our community, I'd like to give thanks. And I'm so glad today is a gift. And thank you for your service. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ms. Mancuso. Next, we have the principal's report and athletics report by Mr. John Talamay.
Good evening, everybody. How are we doing tonight? I'll walk over here. First, if it's okay, I'd like to give Ms. Orlano's report, as she has not able to be here this evening, Lindsay, and she asked me to report on a couple of things. So I just wanted to, as always, share that, and of course, it's okay with her, she cannot make it this evening. So a couple of things that she wanted to report on, some of them that are also part of our report as well, but November was Self-Esteem Month for City Council, and they sponsor that each month as we wrap up November into December, and we have all kinds of activities that are going on. We did actually a campus cleanup day that the gardening club focused on and led yesterday. The student councils had events throughout the month for self-esteem, and there's all kinds of things that you can see around you, behind you, that the student council has put up for that. So we're looking forward to December as well. We had a senior formal, which was very successful. Thank you to Mrs. Imperio for coordinating that event, where we had about 160 seniors. It's a big undertaking to do that. We're down at Casa Bianca, and the students ate and danced all night long, which is what they do at every dance performance that we have. So that was a good thing, and the seniors had a good time and a safe night, which was very important. We have the Pie Feast, which is hosted by Pride, which is a period rejoicing in a drug-free environment. And it's exactly what it is. They do a Friendsgiving type of get together, and they do that in the media center, and their pie feast that they have. So I ever get a chance, it's a pretty good thing. That's obviously like five, it's part of it. A nice chance for them to get together and just be together as well. The food drive is also going on. Pass It Along is coordinating that. We also have Pass It Along coordinating what we call a Milk and a Coat, which is donations of winter garments that they need for our local community. And Pass It Along sponsors that as well. So Pass It Along has been very busy. And the last thing, for sure not least, that Lindsay wanted to report on was success of our fall play, A Few Good Men, which was outstanding production by Mr. Cardi and all of our students and staff that are part of that. Behind the scenes, backstage lights, sound, and all of our actors and actresses just a fantastic job and really, really well done. Obviously, some of us have probably seen the movie, so seeing those scenes again in real life was really good. So congratulations to Mr. Riccardi on that. A couple things that I wanted to report on as well. We wrapped up our students for the first market period. As each market period, so if you're familiar with this or not, students are nominated by departments, by teachers, by staff. It's a very competitive discussion. As I sit down with the students that are selected and nominated, I talk a little bit about the why. Why do you think you were nominated? Why do you think you were selected? And many of them look at me and sometimes say, I don't really know much now. I don't have 95 in that subject area, whatever it may be. And I said, well, what do you like in class? We talked a little bit about that. So it's a really cool thing that our staff gets to be part of, and we're thankful for that. And obviously the students, we get to do a little luncheon. That'll be next week. We get a chance to just talk a little bit about each other and show us lives and talk a little bit about where you're going if you're seniors, what that looks like. So here is the list of those students for the first market period. The principal student of the market period is Kyle Linfoot. For business, Melanie Rossi. For English, Lauren Reese. For physical education, Eduardo Kogo. For health, Dylan Masters. For history, Andrea Macias Manrique. Math is Katrina McCormick. Performing arts, Kyle Ortega. Science, Nick Lebeau. Technological studies, Gabrielle Beauchamp. Visual arts, Madison Sales. And world language, Anastasia Wozniak. So that's our successful students for the first market period, and we acknowledge them each market period and do some social media postings. They get a letter home, certificate for that as well. We also had our first ever student staff of the market period, something that we delved up with some of our administrators and others that said, hey, it would be a good idea if we could do this on a regular basis. It's such a great thing when we do the students, such a neat opportunity. So we developed a little bit small of a scale. For that to make so it's too complicated for the staff. We basically broke all the staff members up into different teams they could be chosen from, so it wasn't just one department. And it was based on leadership, based on your positive approach every single day in our school community, obviously your teaching strategies and what you do in your classroom, and just really who you are as an individual. Leader by action, leader by words. And we're very happy to announce that we did at our staff meeting last week that Mr. Mark Russell, one of our foreign language teachers, was chosen as our first student teacher of the market period for the first market period. So we're excited for him. I hope we'll have a little lunch with him, and that will be exciting as well. A couple other things as we wrapped up. First market period ended already. It's hard to believe that we're talking about Thanksgiving soon, but it's here. The mid-market period comes up in the middle of December. We hosted our 8th grade tours last week. That was very successful. We squeezed them in between the snow, which was strange to think that we were 65 days ago, and then we had snow. And I think about the late open, but it was okay, it worked out. And our tentative open house is going to be end of January for the 8th grade open house, where the students and the parents come back in and see the facilities. And that was, again, the tours were very well attended. Thank you to Mrs. Jackney, Mrs. Lum, Mrs. Imhoff, and the rest of the admin team that helped coordinate those tours. We had also our What's Your Anti-Drug contest winners selected and nominated. That's through the Center of Prevention and Counseling at Newman. They do an outstanding job, nearly 20 plus years that they run this competition, and it gets all the students involved from kindergarten all the way up to high school. And this year we had 2 students that were selected, Sierra Vigiano for her photograph actually, and also Kate King for her media production. And what they do is they'll do a town hall in April over at the Newton Town Hall. They'll be recognized, and the parents get a chance to come. You'll see that in the Herald if you look at the paper. You'll see like an insert with all the students' work that's in there for all the schools, and then the social media posting they actually put on their website. So they do a promo for that, and you'll see that work out there as well. So it is pretty exciting. A couple key events coming up. We are bringing Fill the Bus back. The county food pantry has reached out again. We have not had that for 3 years. Met with the committee this week, and it was the seniors were the only class that realized and remember what it was about. And we fill the bus up as much food as we can, and we take that to the local food pantry, the county food pantry right in Newton, and that goes right to our neighbors and our friends here in the county. So we're excited to be part of that again. That'll be December 15th. So look for a lot of announcements. You can see some of them that are posted on the school for that already. We're looking forward to that. As Mr. Booth said, it is a wonderful time of year. A lot of things that we weren't able to do in the past are coming back. We're excited for that. There's a lot to be thankful for. There's also a very heavy day, heavy week, and a lot of loss in the community. Loss here in our High Point family with retired individuals that lost their significant others suddenly, so there's been a lot of loss and mourning and sadness. With that, there's always blessings that we can find if we look hard enough. And I think that's an important thing, that there's always something that's in front of us, moments that's in front of us. Sometimes we struggle to see those moments. So I just ask that you take that time with your families and friends over the course of time. So I'm saying that to the students all the time, and really enjoy those moments that are in front of you, and enjoy the small ones and the big ones in terms of that part of it. So I just wanted to pass on and wish you all a blessed and a happy Thanksgiving.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
The staff member of the month, are the students voting on that?
that is all staff members. Yep, so that's all staff members that vote on that. And we're something brand new we tried this year. We may tweak it and model it down the road, but it really is a cool thing. And there's basically a Likert scale, about 4 or 5 things that we look at. And we're working on something else, little secret for the December staff meeting for our staff that the students will be involved with. But this is something, again, from our leadership team, our SEL team, that we're trying to work on to build each other up more, and have those positive interactions more. Yep. Okay. Good.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and just a no athletic report, because we're in between seasons and winter season started yesterday. So we're excited about that part of it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
I don't believe we have a curriculum and instruction report tonight. Mr. Campbell is not present. I'll offer our monarchy liaison an opportunity. Okay. It's always there. So we'll move to our action items. Curriculum, instruction, and technology.
So, we have action items. 1, faculty attendance rate for October noted, and student attendance rate for October, both in the 90%, which is nice to see, especially with so much sickness going on. We encloses the copy of the suspension report for October, and I'm going to move items 4, 5, and 6 together. Number 4 is to approve the HIP report for October 27th through November 22nd as listed. Number 5 is approving the curricular field trips and co-curricular field trips as listed. And number 6 is approving professional development as listed. So making a motion, seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Comfort?
Yes.
Ms. Harmon?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Osban? Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. That's it for curriculum, instruction, technology. Then we have personnel.
Okay, I'm going to move items 1 through 3. There's one on the addendum. Number 1 is the recommendation to accept the resignation of the part-time security officer, effective as listed. Number 2 is a recommendation to approve the substitutes for the 2022-2023 school year, and in receipt of all required paperwork as listed. And number 3 on the addendum, it's recommended to approve Adam Sutherland as the part-time school security officer for the 2022-2023 school year as listed. Making a motion, seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm glad you were able to get somebody so quickly.
Yeah, that's why this is dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Harmon?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Osban? Yes. Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Comfort?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. Mr. Carrazza is not here this evening, so I'll take extracurricular. Move items 1 through 3 together. 1 is a recommendation to approve Lorelei Castellani as a volunteer girls basketball coach for the 2022-2023 school year. Item 2 is a recommendation to accept the resignation of Christopher Dexter as girls tennis coach effective immediately. And item 3 is a recommendation to approve the Girls Helping Girls Club. The club will be self-supporting, result in no cost to the board. Ms. Elena DeStories will serve as the club's volunteer advisor. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on any of these items? I'd just like to thank our volunteer coaches wherever we find them.
Is
for stepping
that the
forward.
same Lorelei that was?
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll take a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Klein? Yes. Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Osment? Yes. Ms. Sedona?
Yes.
Mr. Comfort?
Yes.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. Back to Mrs. Sedona for policy.
There's none.
Oh, look at that. Turn the page, sorry. We also have no negotiations items and no buildings and grounds items. So right to finance. I will move items 1 through 6 together. Item 1 is recommendation to accept the report of the board secretary business administrator for the month of October 2022. Item 2 is a recommendation to accept the report of the treasurer for the month of October 2022. Item 3 is a recommendation to approve the reported transfers and minimum expense transfer report for the month of October 2022. And 4 is a recommendation to approve for payment the attached schedule of audited bills dated November 22, 2022. And item 5 is a recommendation to accept the adult education agency account, athletic account, cafeteria account, principal, petty cash account, scholarship account, and student activities for the month of October 2022. And finally, 6 is a recommendation to authorize the execution of the following tuition contracts between High Point Regional as the sending district and the following districts and the related information as listed. So I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on items 1 through 6? Seeing none, roll call please.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Osment? Yes. Ms. Sedona?
Yes.
Mr. Comfort?
Yes.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. I will move 7 alone. Item 7 is a recommendation that the board approves the send receive agreement with Montague Township School District for the term 2022 to 2023 through 2031 and 2032 as it was contained in attachment G6 and rescinds the prior agreement previously due to expire June 30th, 2024. I will make that motion. I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to say thank you to both board presidents and administrations for making this happen and be successful. Montague has a special place in my heart, always will. And so I'm glad to see, that this continue. I was working there at the beginning of this, the start of this relationship, so I'm glad to see it continue. I think it just benefits everybody involved, so thank you.
And if I may recognize the Montague Board President in attendance this evening, Ms. Holstein. She and I have been in discussion, and certainly there's a couple other, if you want to introduce your other board members.
This is Audrey Campbell, she's one of our board members, and you guys know Tasha DeZor, she's the
Yes.
liaison, and her daughter. I'm really happy to be here tonight, I'm happy that this is taking place. I think the whole board, I'm obviously very happy too. Thank you, Leanne, for your comments.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I just want to say that this is about 12 years of work, and to be able to vote on this for a second contract is really the institutionalization of the relationship. It is something that I have been intimately involved in all those years, and it has been a labor of truly believing that it would strengthen High Point and it would be a blessing to Montague and High Point together. And we believe that Montague students have benefited and thrived here, and it is a relationship that I'm hopeful to will transcend the next decade and beyond. And it has not come easily. And the board members here can attest to that. I believe Ms. Holstein was on the board when we first had these discussions, and and I was director of curriculum, and I know that this is something that is exceedingly important to me. And I have poured myself into for 12 years, and I very much appreciate the consideration of the board, the High Point board and the Montague board, to be able to continue this. So thank you for your consideration, your votes.
No other comments, we'll proceed to a vote.
Mr. Rossband?
Yes.
Mr. Dona?
Yes.
Mr. Comfort?
Yes.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Moving through our agenda, item 8 is a recommendation that the board approves the ice rental agreement with Skylands Ice World for the term of October 13, 2022 through February 18, 2023 at the hourly rate as listed, divided equally among High Point, Walk Hill, and Kittatinny school districts. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I think it's great that they can do this and that you can have 3 schools involved, and it's just a great another option for people. So.
Mr. Talmay, what's the name of the new combined team now that we've lost the clever one?
I have to look that up again. I had trouble deciphering that last year when we looked in uniforms, because uniforms, all of them changed, right? From our
Right.
tri to our quad.
Sorry to put you on the
It's
spot.
okay.
Uh,
There's a lot of initials, put it that way.
Yes.
A lot of initials.
We like those in
Yeah.
education, yeah.
Acronyms, right?
Take a vote on that, please.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Comfort?
Yes.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Rossband?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. And the final item in finance, or under finance, is a recommendation that the board accepts, approves, and places on file the comprehensive annual financial report or audit and corrective action plan for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. Comprehensive annual financial report included in the financial section stated that there were 5 recommendations, and they are as listed in our agenda. I won't read them individually. I will make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Comments?
You know, it's unfortunate that we have to have a correction active plan, action plan, based on the, I don't know if you call them errors or what, but I am glad that our, current VA has a, this was not him, and it was he has a solid history, so we're glad to have him back. And I would actually also like to say thank you to Fran and Dawn for keeping everything in order and running smoothly as we transitioned amongst the VAs in that part of the year. So thank you, ladies, for your hard work. And thank you, Jim, for...
The stability that Fran and Dawn bring to the business office is second to none, and the amount of work that they poured out of themselves and their commitment and their dedication to the district and the community likely would not be evident anywhere else. These are 2 people who are institutions at High Point and who have committed themselves to the well-being and the success, and that was ever apparent in the throughout this process. So we thank them for their commitment. It is duly noted, and they should be lauded for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just, yeah, so for the public, this is a copy of the audit. There is a tremendous amount of work that goes in, certainly by our auditing firm, to produce that, but it's not produced by them. It's with information that has to be given and provided to them by our board office, by our VA, by a lot of different sources. this will be like number 9 I get to put on my shelf. And I have actually accessed them and reviewed them for certain other decisions that I get to make throughout the year. This is basically somebody being audited by the IRS. We have to do that as a matter of statute every year. Every school district has to do the same. It's not done for fun. It's done to ensure that we are, that the school is doing what it needs to do and in accordance with all state statutes and following accounting principles and such. So again, we pay the auditors, but, and we.
You don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice there, but the amount of work, the extra work that has to go in by our board office and our business secretary, thank you for that effort. And I know we do have corrective action listed or recommendations for corrective action. The majority of these were presented to the Finance Committee as having been already resolved. So that makes me feel comfortable being able to go forward and voting to accept this report. So,
Just for everybody's clarification or further, the white, small ordered white copies, that's called the AMR, the Auditor's Management Report. That spells out the recommendations as well in more detail. So that's what that is.
any other comments? Proceed to a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Conforto?
Yes.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. Okay. Any volunteers for transportation?
I'll do it. All right, so I am going to move items 1 through 8 together. That's all the transportation items. So number 1 is approving and authorizing the quota contracts for the 22-23 school year for curricular and co-curricular trips as listed. Number 2 is approving the quoted contracts for athletic trips for the 22-23 school year as listed. Number 3 is approving the joint transportation with Lenape Valley, Regional School District for school-related activities for 22-23 school year. Number 4 is the recommendation to approve and award the routes to lowest bidder or only bidder from the bid as noted. And the bid summary is listed. Number 5 is to approve the contracts, again, awarded to only bids received for the bid as listed for the remainder of the school year. Number 6 is to award the only bids, again, for the following route for the remainder of the school year. I'm seeing a theme here. Number 7 is authorize the execution of the following joint transportation agreement for 22-23 school year as listed. And number 8 is the approving the bus evacuation drills that were completed as noted there. Making a motion, seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Judy.
Oh, wait, sorry. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Khan?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Conforto?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. We have no legal items, no correspondence, under miscellaneous, the standing item. So we will move to our second public comment session of the evening. Same rules apply. You can either make comments here at the podium or virtually to our online portal via the email address that's displayed. Any public comments in the room?
Hi, so our school and see how beautiful it looks now. It's looking really good. But I really wanted to make public comment tonight because I learned recently that December 1st, you guys are losing a teacher who's very dear to my heart, and that's Mr. Langan. He's going to be retiring, he said. Yeah, so he publicly put it out, and I just, because I was going to be here tonight, I could not come here and not acknowledge how much I love him, in the sense of how much he had an influence on my daughter, so many of her friends, and I hope that you will find someone who can replace him, at least a little bit, and fill the shoes that, in his passion for history and the Constitution in this country. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments in the room or virtual? Something received? No. Okay, may I have a motion to close the second public comment section?
Motion.
And a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moving on to non-committee board member reports or comments. Anyone?
I would like to just say two things.
Ms. Smith?
Usual, don't forget the food bank. Obviously, this time of year, fill the bus and stuff the bus or whatever it is a great cause, but we also have a food bank here at High Point that is always needing to be filled, and I am hopeful that after my tenure is done here as a board member, that somebody will continue on the reminders publicly. And also, I would just like to say that moving forward, I think, sitting in this role is, it is a tough job, and it's something that, I have enjoyed thoroughly. I am very passionate about education, and I do hope that those who fill the seats in any board member position at any school district always keep in mind that at the end of the day, it's about the kids. It's what's best, not just for your kid or your neighbor's kid, it's about what's best for all kids. And keeping that compassion and modeling those attributes that we wish to see in students as we sit here and treat each other with dignity and respect and put kids first. I think that needs to continue in all aspects of education. And I hope that that it continues. We've had a great board here making, I think, really great decisions for kids with all the information that we have, and sometimes we can't share all that information, but it is important to recognize that at the end of the day, it's about the kids, and I never want to lose sight of that. And I hope anybody who sits in the seat at any, as I said, at the dais at any level, remembers that and keeps that.
Thank you, Ms. Anyone else? John?
Yes. Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment, because I sent you and Dr. Ripley messages about the politics that they're trying to push in from the unions, from the NJEA and the NEA, and I guess all the NJEA, their core values is just a rainbow flag, and I think we're all inclusive. It's just a matter of, it should be about education. The other things should be, that's fine. Everybody should be accepted who they are, and we should, give them support. But, some people have different beliefs, and you shouldn't be pushing that down their throat all the time. And, I was looking at some posters back there, and I was trying to figure out, who they are and, where they came from. And I noticed one of them I looked up was Larry Kramer. So he's up there on the poster. Now, is he up there because he's gay, or is he up there because he just is a protester, or does it matter what he actually said? So, I was reading, what he had written an open letter to Dr. Anthony Fauci, where he had said, "You're responsible for all government-funded AIDS treatment research. In the name of right, you make decisions that cost the lives of others. I call a decision you are making acts of murder." Back in 1988, there was another quote here, and it's pretty interesting. "You are a pill-pushing pimp that cooperates with drug companies in forcing dangerous concoctions down the throats of a desperate community that is brainwashed into believing that taking any pill will help them. AIDS drugs are not sold to help people. They are sold to make a profit. The situation is so out of control. The drug companies now create and sell drugs. Marinol is a synthetic derivative of the natural compound marijuana." And There's more stuff about AZT, that AZT killed a lot of people with AIDS.
I believe this is out of order.
No, she's.
I'm not complaining, I'm saying we should
Mr. Board
remember
Member,
what he
no,
said.
no, this isn't an open discussion. I'm sorry. The public has the opportunity to speak at 2 designated times. This is the board's now time to speak. Please respect their ability to speak appropriately. Thank you.
I'm just saying this, the reason I bring it up, it's an ongoing issue still, right now, with Fauci's still involved with stuff that happened. And we should remember, he's up there on the wall, we should remember the substance of what he stood for and what he said, remember what he said, and maybe that is definitely relevant to what is going on now. And that's, that's a good thing for anybody, I mean, I don't think that's, I'm not being critical of anybody, of him. So I think people should remember that stuff. That was a big issue in the 80s, and it's still relevant right now. So that's all my comments.
Any other public comments? I mean, sorry, board member comments. If I may, we haven't fully decided, but there's a very good chance we may not have our scheduled December board meeting. If we do not, then this would be my last opportunity to thank Mrs. Smith for her time on the board, and Mr. Osman for your few months that you were able to serve with us. Thank you all for your service, and certainly hope that you take your passions and are able to use them elsewhere, and perhaps even maybe sometime in the future rejoin the board. The past year, just to recap a few things that I feel we've been able to achieve, because there's look, we don't all have the same opinions. I think we just demonstrated that well enough. But we were able to come together and achieve some rather momentous things for our district. And within the past year, we've voted on and ratified a contract with the HPEA. I believe there was a contract with the HPAA also within this past year. And then the third big item, the send-receive relationship with Montague tonight. Some boards struggle to do one of those in a given calendar year, and we managed to accomplish that. I believe, my memory may fail, but it was pretty much within the last calendar year that most of that happened. So no small achievement. And that's not to say that we weren't achieving other things elsewhere, some other major, we're always striving to move forward. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for their part in that this past year. Dr. Ripley for your leadership, Mr. Minkowitz for what you've added to us, coming back to us from being away for a little while.
We'll call it a sabbatical.
Yeah.
Sabbatical, I like that.
So, just as a recap, I mean, it's been a heck of a year, and let's hope we're now stabilized after some rough patch that we went through with the COVID shutdowns and what have you. There's still a lot to do.
There always will
We
be.
look forward to working with all you that are going to be left, and then our new board members coming on in the new year. Any other comments? Okay, I think that was, we really have no other business except for the one item just for references listed there. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?